Well, we first went over to our church, which I was impressed. They set up kind of a command center there, and the phones kept ringing, and then they'd post up on a bulletin board who needs help, who needs rescued, who needs someone to help clean out their house, just anybody who called. And one of our ministers took a crew of about 9 or 10 men out every morning to just go address needs. They cleaned out 100 homes, these 9 or 10 men, not church people necessarily, just 100 homes, and tore down all the sheetrock and stuff like that. So they worked for months doing this. We also set up a clothing bank for all sizes, and we set up a food bank, and we set up a cleaning supply bank for people too. That went on for about 3 weeks. The other thing that we did is we fed people every night from August until April. I think we stopped feeding people because it was dwindling and people didn't need meals so much. But for a long time, we fed people nightly. And so my husband did a lot of cooking and brought food in, and what I did is I sat with people and helped them process. Because of my background, I'm not strong enough to cut out sheetrock and stuff like that, but I can talk to people, so I processed with a lot. And then I put on a training for lay people to how to talk to their neighbors who flooded, that kind of thing. And then for a while, I ran a support group for survivors. We kind of stayed with the things you should say, shouldn't say, how to be a little sensitive to people who had been flooded. We also processed a little bit with those people. They were eager to help, but they had a little of that survivor's guilt, and we had to address that a little bit. And in the support group, we talked about the different stages they were in and frustrations and fears of that night, and who woke up to water and who got out of their bed into water and who had to be rescued, and kind of let them process the ways they were rescued. But we also talked about the different feelings like anger and just different grief feelings. Yeah. Then after we did that, that was from August until November. Then in November, a friend of mine and I got together a bunch of little Christmas trees that we had the church people decorate, and they took them all around, just gave them out to anybody who'd been flooded, just to let them know we were thinking about this will be a hard Christmas. It was really different because it was a shock, since I thought Thursday morning we'd start to see a little water rising, and they released Wednesday night. So it was such a shock. At first, when I saw the news and I saw a picture, an aerial picture of Kingwood, I wrote down on Facebook, I don't think that's a real picture. I think somebody's trying to be funny, because I had no reason to think it had flooded. Even in '94, I think it was, when we had a bad flood, Kingwood wasn't really flooded, just a part of Forest Cove and a little bit of Woodland Hills. So it was just such a shock, and the other ones were not. The other thing was it impacted the whole community, not just a section of it. So I have new appreciation for what it's like to have your community have trauma. But I'm seeing more and more people come in who really are having nightmares and all that again a year later. So that's been really interesting to me.
Where do you think that stems from?
Fatigue.
Fatigue.
Because they have the frustration they can't get their houses totally done. I have a friend who has 22 windows she has to replace. Wow. And they're big. And she said yesterday, I'm replacing one and I have to wait 3 months for it to be done. Then I'm going to get another. And so for her, like she said, it's never going to end. It's going to be years before she can get her house kind of back. People don't want to think about Harvey now if they weren't flooded. And if they were flooded, they're sick of it and they wish it'd be done. But many of them still don't have their houses back yet. I think it has changed us in that we have some scam artists who have found Kingwood, and people who steal packages off of doorsteps and stuff, and that's new. We haven't had that before. So it's, in some ways, it's been detrimental to the community. On the other hand, I've seen a lot more kindness and willingness to help just for free, just to help,
Yes.
than before. So it also brought our community, I think, together and did make it tighter in a different way.